Hello and welcome back to the FSS Football channel. Today we'll be doing how to fix Manchester United, obviously my club. Before I get into this video, I feel like it's vital that I comment on the unfortunate killing of George Floyd. Unfortunately, there's still people in this world, and I use the term people very loosely when I say this, that think it's okay to discriminate against someone based on the colour of their skin, which obviously is just completely unacceptable. As a white privileged man, I will never have to live in fear like many black people across the world have to. During this time, me and many other people have come to the realisation that it's not only okay to be not racist, you have to be actively anti-racist and confront racism when you hear it and when you see it. Unfortunately, individually, we can do very little to solve the global problem that is racism. And that's what it is. It is a global issue. It's not just America, UK. It's everywhere across the world. It's not okay. And we can't let it be anymore. Like I say, unfortunately, individually, we can't tackle it alone. But together, we can make change. Down below, I will leave links to the Black Lives Matter movement and where you can go sign petitions, donate, or just educate yourself more on the topic that is Black Lives Matter, and hopefully we can make a change. Before we get into the video, make sure you hit that like button below, subscribe down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload from the FSS channel. Also, check out my personal channel down below, FSS114, where I'll make gaming videos, vlogs, you name it, I'll probably make it at some point. Anyway, let's get into the video. Last season, Manchester United finished 6th with a very rocky end the last season after what was an immaculate run following Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's appointment as manager. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the mastermind behind the 3-1 victory in Paris, becoming the first team in history to overcome a first leg home 2-0 defeat. Following this rocky end to the season, Manchester United made some big summer moves in order to try and bolster the squad and get into them Champions League spots, including the likes of Harry Maguire for £78.5 million according to Transfermarkt, breaking the record for not only the most expensive English player in football history, but also the most expensive defender, surpassing Virgil van Dijk £76 million according to Transfermarkt. Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James also moved to Old Trafford for around $50 million and $15 million according to Transfermarkt. United had a rocky start to this season, winning against Chelsea 4-0 before missing a decisive penalty in a 1-1 draw at Molineux against Wolves before going on to lose to Crystal Palace at Old Trafford. United's form has continued, beating some of the top teams like Leicester City, Spurs, Man City, and being the first team to take points away from Liverpool. However, these great results have also been coupled with absolutely abysmal and disappointing results against the likes of West Ham United, Watford and Burnley at home. It was specifically that Burnley at home game that forced Manchester United's hand as they signed Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon for around £15 million according to Transfermarkt, and we obviously signed Odedin Igalo on loan that very same January. The signing of Bruno Fernandes has made a big impact at Manchester United, and the improvement has been there to see. Manchester United have won 3 out of the 5 games in which he's played for the club in the league, including 2 2-0 victories over Manchester City and Chelsea, where he provided an assist in both games, one to Harry Maguire from a corner and one to Anthony Martial with a delightful lob from the free kick. This excellence was then confirmed as he won the Player of the Month award in his first month at the club for picking up 2 goals and 3 assists in 5 games. Manchester United currently sat 5th in the league, 3 points off of Chelsea in 4th and 8 points off of Leicester City. Both teams have harder runs to the end of the season than Manchester United do. In fact, Leicester City and Manchester United will face up in the final game of the season. Manchester United have shown very good squad depth across this season in the Europa League, Premier League obviously, Carabao Cup and FA Cup, reaching the quarterfinals providing they don't give up a 5-0 lead at home to last. The quarter-final of the FA Cup, which they have Norwich to play. They reached the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, where they lost to Manchester City, who eventually went on to win it, thanks to an abysmal first leg. Squad depth is going to be vital for the end of the season, due to the amount of midweek games there's going to be trying to get the season finished. This squad depth, Leicester haven't had to show this season, so we don't know if he's got it, and that is an advantage to Manchester United. As mentioned, Manchester United are set to be in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. This is very useful, as it means it's not only is a good chance for silverware and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get his first trophy as a Manchester United manager, but it's also a visible competition we can win, and it's another way we can qualify for the Champions League, which is vital for next season for Manchester United and the signings we want to be making to progress as a team. Due to this, I'm going to be making all improvements under the assumption that Manchester United will be playing Champions League football next season. Personally, I think Manchester United team is almost at a level where they can compete for the top spots now, especially since Bruno Fernandes signed in January. So, this, what in my opinion, Man United's best current team. Obviously, there's a few stylistic changes you can make here and there, but I would say it's David De Gea in goal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw, Fred, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial. Obviously there can be changes here and there. Mason Greenwood and Daniel James can swap depending on the game. I would start Daniel James against the big teams that look to attack us, whereas Mason Greenwood I would say is better against the smaller teams because his dribbling is just, and technical ability I would say is just slightly better, and he's just got a better shot and can shoot from range, and he offers us something else. Obviously Fred, if you're playing Pogba and Fred as a 2, I would say Fred can play, but if you're going to play as a midfield 3, you need a DM. Matic would have to come in, or maybe Scott McTominay. Okay, so how am I improving Manchester United? Obviously, in a dream world and circumstance, Ed Woodward and the Glazers would be out of a job. But realistically, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So I'm going to ignore that. But just know they would be the main priority to get rid of if I could. But obviously, it's so unrealistic, I'm just going to leave it. Okay, manager. Who is going to manage the club? Am I going to stick with Solskjaer? Unfortunately, I'm not. Now, this is a controversial one. I know. Manchester United fans love Solskjaer, and I love Solskjaer. He's brilliant. He's a football legend for Manchester United. But in my opinion, if you can get Pochettino, you get Pochettino. He's got a track record of coming in, developing clubs, and building them up, which is exactly what Man United need. I mean, he hasn't won much yet, but Spurs to a Champions League final, and he took them from a club like Everton, really, where they want to be challenging for the top 6, but now they're Champions League most years. But if you can't get Poch, I'm more than happy to stick with Solskjaer. Okay, so sales. Who am I selling? I'm selling Phil Pink Boots Jones. Transfer market values him around £6 million. Chris Smalling as well. He's valued at around £14 million. Lingard and Andreas Pereira are both on the chopping block, and they're both valued at around £15 million. Sanchez will also be up for sale for around £15 million once again. However, due to his high wages, it's very unlikely we'll have a suitor for him, so he will just be loaned out again. Next, we have probably the dirtiest man in football, Marcos Rojo. Somehow he's not got a red card for Manchester United in his career, but he is up for sale for around £7 million, all fees according to Transfermarkt. Alright, loans. Who am I loaning out? I'm loaning out Tahith Chong. I'm loaning out James Garner, Angel Gomez and Dean Henderson. Only one of them's gone out on loan this season, and apart from really Chong, none of them has been given much game time. Nowhere near as much game time as they should be getting. Especially with the likes of Andreas Pereira and Jesse Lingard playing so much this season. The fact Angel Gomez hasn't been given a chance is disgraceful. But the main reason all these players are out on loan is just to get first team minutes, get them playing first team football, because that's when you're going to develop the most. Whether you're playing in the Premier League or the Championship or League One, you're going to be developing most when you're playing first team football. And under 21s football just isn't at the level as to improve players and get them ready for the first team anymore. Okay, so this is where we get to the fun bit. The transfers. Okay, let's be real here. The first player I'm signing is the 21-year-old from Borussia Dortmund. Of course, it's Jadon Sancho. He's a world-class right winger, valued at around £100 million according to a transfer mark. And I think you pay whatever it takes to get him out of Dortmund. He will be the winger at our club for the next decade. Him and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, that's the right flank sorted for the decade. Honestly, they're that good. Jadon Sancho's got all the skill. He can cross the ball brilliantly. And he can score goals. As proven by his 30 goal involvements in 24 league games this season for Dortmund. Which is utterly bonkers. Furthermore, as I said, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the right back. He's so good defensively. I mean, Jadon Sancho doesn't have to do as much defensively. Obviously, Jadon will do some defensive work, but nowhere near as much as he would have to do because of Aaron Wan-Bissaka's excellence in that department. So, first signing is Jadon Sancho. Get him in the club. I don't care how much you have to spend. Get him in. Am I keeping Odedin Igalo at the club? No, I'm not keeping Igalo at the club. I don't think he would be worth the money. And it doesn't show that we're trying to progress as a club and looking for the future. It doesn't show any longevity in the plan. We'll have to pay lots of high wage demands, because he's on loads in China. And obviously the fee, that's money taken away from other priorities. Personally, I think Mason Greenwood's at the stage where he can be playing as a backup striker to Martial, so we don't need Igalo. And then we just buy 2 right wingers. I don't think we need another striker. I think you either buy another right winger or another left winger, and you have Dan James play on either one. For me, I think Daniel James plays the best on the left. Obviously, we saw that when Martial got injured, Rashford went up top. James went on the left, and he was very good there. So for me, I think Rashford and James will be our left wingers. Greenwood and Martial will be our 2 strikers. Martial obviously starting. And our right wingers will be Jadon Sancho. And we'll get on to the next one. We'll get on to the other right winger later. Who will be our right winger? Our backup right winger. Now I've got 2 suggestions here. We've got Emi Buendia from Norwich, or Calvin Stengs from AZ Alkmaar. Firstly, Buendia has played all across the front line for Norwich City this season, and he's valued around £14 million. Buendia has assisted 7 times this season in a team set for relegation. If United don't snap him up, somebody else will. He looks set for the top level. As I say, he can play all across the front line. So he offers depth and rotation for everyone across that front line. So he'd be a very, very good player for us if we was to get him. However, he is not the player I would go for. I would go for the 22-year-old Calvin Stengs from AZ Alkmaar. I think he plays a very similar style to Jadon Sancho. He's a quick player. He's got plenty of flair and skills. Stengs has provided 5 goals and 8 assists in 25 league matches this season in the Eredivisie. Furthermore, Stengs has shown his quality against Manchester United in the Europa League, and I believe he's a very, very capable backup. Okay, so midfielders. Who are we getting in midfield? Personally, I think our defensive midfield role needs someone, and I've got 2 options for that. Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid and Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester City. Thomas Partey is valued around £36 million according to Transfermarkt, but is reported to have a £45 million release clause. Thomas Partey is brilliant defensively. Obviously, we've all seen his performance against Liverpool in the Champions League second leg. He was outstanding. He can play all across the midfield, really. His dribbling's fantastic. He can play as a right back. He has done before for Atletico Madrid, so he's versatile. And I think he would be a very, very good option for Manchester United. However, I'm going to go for the second option of the two, which is Wilfred Ndidi. Ndidi is valued at around £33 million according to Transfermarkt. However, you're going to be looking at more 50 to 60 million to secure his services at Old Trafford. The 23-year-old is genuinely an immense defensive workhorse, making around 4 tackles per game and 2.7 interceptions per game, while being dribbled past less than 2 times a game. That is incredible numbers. That is outstanding numbers. He is also the perfect player to sit behind Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba and allow them to be creative and give them creative freedom, which he does for Maddison and Tielemans at Leicester. Obviously, there's always rumours that Paul Pogba is going to leave the club. And if he does, we're going to bring in a pretty penny for him. And Manchester United won't sell him on the cheap. And any clubs that want him, they're going to have money. So, who am I going to suggest we get as a Paul Pogba replacement? Well, I'm thinking the Serb from Lazio, Milinkovic-Savic. But valued at around £60 million, Savic can play any sort of role in that midfield, and he has done for Lazio this season. He's a perfect box-to-box midfielder that is competitive, a leader, and very tall and strong in the midfield. So he's perfect as a box-to-box with Bruno Fernandes and Wilfred Ndidi. If I was Manchester United, I'd also be looking at Adrien Rabiot from Juventus. He was unreal last season for PSG before refusing to sign a contract and as such refusing to play for PSG. He moved to Juventus this year, and once again he doesn't appear to be in favour, and Juventus are rumored to be looking to sell. So United could probably get him close to his valuation, around £25 million, which would be a bargain for a player of his quality. Finally, the last player I would sign would be Joe Rodon from Swansea. He's 22 years old and has received plenty of praise from Welsh manager and Manchester United legend Ryan Giggs. Rodon is good at both on the deck and in the air, and would be available for around £15 million, similar fee to Daniel James, which for someone that could potentially be so good, it's not a bad risk to take. After all these signings, this is of course the starting lineup. It will be David De Gea in goal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw as our defensive line. Then we've got Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, with Ndidi in the hole. And then we've got a front line of Jadon Sancho on the right, Marcus Rashford on the left, and Anthony Martial as our number 9. This is of course the squad depth. Furthermore, theoretically if we were to keep players like Taif Chong, Angel Gomez, Ghana this season, they would obviously add further squad depth. Furthermore, the front line, pretty much every player can play across it. Martial can play across it, Greenwood can, Rashford can, Sancho can, and they've all shown it. So I hope you have enjoyed this How to Fix Manchester United. Make sure you hit that like button below, subscribe, and make sure you check out all the links in the description below to the whole Black Lives Matter movement. I think it's important that everyone gets behind it and educates themselves on why it's such a big issue. Anyway, thanks for watching this FSS football video. Like, subscribe, and peace.